with Knit for Brains. Thanks so much for joining me this week. And this week I'm bringing you my other work in progress. I'm also doing the temperature cal, which I showed you. This week I'm showing you my other work in progress, and this is a poncho. It's a pattern that I found on Ravelry. It's called the Park City Poncho. And I am using, and I'm excited, we're going traveling. I'm very, we've got a lot of travel coming up. And, you know, COVID is starting to wind down and restrictions are starting to be lifted. My husband was going to be retiring. And so this was going to be our big retirement just kickoff. Well, you know, life happens and things happen. And so he has extended his retirement to the end of the year, but we already had all this travel planned. So we're going to go ahead and keep the travel. And it's pretty extensive. We're going on a cruise to Alaska, 10-day cruise, very excited. Then we're going to come back, and then 2 days later, we're going to Italy for 2.5 weeks, and then we're going to France for 2.5 weeks. So it's pretty extensive, but I expect to bring back some beautiful yarns. I always look for yarn shops when I'm traveling. That's my kind of my go-to souvenir. You know, I mean, everyone brings home like magnets or thimbles or shot glasses or whatever. I bring home yarn. And if you do, like, you know, what do you bring home from a vacation? What do you bring home as a souvenir? I like bringing home yarn because A, it's probably unique and different. Maybe I don't get to see it over here. Of course, I try to get, you know, the natural fibers or a fiber that's maybe even indigenous to that particular part of the world. Maybe it's alpaca or some kind of wool or, you know, whatever. But what I like is that when I come home and I start working with it, I reminisce and I go through all the memories that I have of that particular trip. So I feel like I'm kind of weaving my memories into whatever garment I make. And then when I wear it, it's like, oh yeah, you know, I bought this yarn in the south of France. And so that's my memory. That's, you know, how it works for me. So let me know what you do when you travel, even if it's stateside, you know, I mean, or even if you're from another country, but, you know, even just traveling your own backyard or something like that. What do you bring back as a souvenir? Do you bring back souvenirs? What do you do as far as memories go? But we are going on this trip to Alaska, and I have been told, thanks to many of our subscribers, thank you very much, that you need to pack in layers, and it could be cold and it could be warm and it could be any number of things. So I've got a couple jackets, I've got a raincoat, and I've got a down parka, things like that. But I wanted something that would just sort of take a chill off, and I thought a poncho would be great because you can just kind of toss it on. It's a good layerable item. I'm using this Faux Mo, and a couple weeks ago I did a Lion brand haul. They were having a huge anniversary sale, and they had some killer sales on yarn. And so I had bought 6 skeins of this Faux Mo, and it stands for like faux mohair, but it's a lot softer than mohair. This color is called charcoal. It is a weight of 4, and that's because of the halo that you get with the yarn. So it's actually quite thin. The strands are thin, but with the halo fibers it's a lot thicker. It is 53% viscose, 37% acrylic, and 10% nylon. So it's nothing, you know, super exotic and special, but it's very, very, very soft. You know, if you do the cheek test, it definitely passes. There's also quite a bit of yardage in these skeins. So each skein has 328 yards, which is great. I found this pattern on Etsy. I think I found it on Etsy, and it's called the Park City Poncho by Ruby Webbs, and it's super simple, but I just saw this and thought, man, that's really contemporary. I liked the way that the poncho, what's the cool thing is you can actually do it 2 different ways. So you can sew it so that it falls into the traditional poncho V down the front, or you can sew it different, I think on the bias, so that you get this kind of nice draping look. Just depends on how you want to wear it. Personally, I looked at it and thought I kind of liked this style, so I'm going with this. It just looks kind of that elegant, like if you were with boots and jeans and maybe like a turtleneck or something underneath. It just kind of has that really cool chic look. So that's what I'm doing. This stitch is so easy. It's not a honeycomb stitch. It's kind of a V stitch, I guess. It's a great pattern for a beginner, and you feel like, hey, I did something really cool. So it's 112 stitches across. I'll include the pattern. You do have to buy it. It wasn't very much. I think it was like $3 or $4, something like that. And I think I ended up getting this yarn. I might be wrong, but it might have been like $2.88 a skein because it was during that anniversary sale. But here's all you do is you just chain 3 at the end of your row, which is your double crochet, and then you have these holes. You do 2 double crochets into this space, in this V space, and that's it. And then you just go over to your next space. So basically you skip these 2 stitches, which is your V, and then you do 2 double crochets here, and you just keep going, and you go, and you go, and you go, and you go, and you go. And then when you get to however many rows you want for the length, and it's very easily adjustable. If you want it to be longer or, you know, a little wider, you just increase on the ends. Then what you do is you single chain across to make this hole, and then what you do is I just start kind of going up and over the top, and then you do the same thing on the way back, and then it just evens out on the sides. So it's gonna kind of do one of these like this, and then there's also a cowl that goes across the top, and then you just sew down the sides. So very, very easy. It's knitting up, or it's crocheting up really, really fast. And I'm really thinking this is cute. I like this. So this is going to go with me on my cruise to Alaska. And like I said, you know, sometimes I find that you don't have to get all busy and fancy with your stitches to make something really beautiful. I mean, I love how this is coming out with the holes. This just has a very modern crochet look to it for me. Super soft, and it's mostly acrylic, so you could toss it in the washer, dryer, fluff it up a little bit. But I'm really liking this. So again, this is the Park City Poncho, and it's by Ruby Webbs, and I found her on Etsy. Good photos, well-written pattern, very, very simple. So yeah, I would give this a nice, easy, difficulty level. I'd say very easy. Here's something interesting too. If you don't want to do the cowl across, you can just leave it without, and then it just kind of sits a little bit more on the angle. Just kind of, you know, pull it over to the side. So there's a lot of versatility with this particular pattern. And yeah, I'm really liking it. So again, this is my first time working with this Faux Mo, which I like very much. Really soft, easy to work up, and it doesn't have a lot of shedding because I tend to get allergies when you work with a lot of yarn, you get all sneezy. Not so much with this one. The original pattern, I'll just say really quick, the original yarn that they used on this pattern was the Lion Brand Heartland, which is a great yarn, and it's a 4 as well. So I did choose a 4, and I think she ended up using 7 skeins of Lion Brand Heartland, and she used the Mount Rainier for this pattern. So that would be probably 3 skeins for each side, and then a skein for the cowl. I'm assuming. I did do some comparison, and the Heartland doesn't have as much yardage in their skeins as these do. So I only have 6 skeins of the Faux Mo, but this is going to be just fine for me. I actually did about 2.5 skeins for this side. So I'm going to do 2.5 on the other side, and then I'll use the 1 skein for the cowl. So I'm kind of adjusting it down a little bit. But yeah, I'm liking it. It's really cute. Like I said, I'll include the link for the pattern. You do have to buy it. I don't mind spending money on a pattern. I like to support small businesses. I have my share of free patterns, don't get me wrong, but I really do like to kind of support the designer and, and show my appreciation that way. So it wasn't very much money. As a matter of fact, I even bought another one of her patterns. It was a sweater called the Bowen sweater. Oh, I like it. So thanks so much for watching. Hey, comment below and let me know, what do you bring back? If you go on vacation, do you bring back souvenirs? Do you bring back gifts for everybody else in your family, or do you do something nice for yourself? I think we should always do something nice for ourselves, don't you? I think we definitely should do so. Anyway, so that's it. This is Kimberly with Knit for Brains, or Crochet for Days. Just a quick little drop-in to show you my work in progress for this week. I'm working on the Park City Poncho. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you soon.